What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sakamoto Days Chapter Review. Today we're kicking off fresh with the newest chapter, 177, KINDAKA. And I just have to say, I am super excited to see this character come back into the story at the most convenient of all times, supposedly, because he couldn't have picked a better time when Sakamoto, Shin, and Heisuke all need a master to teach them and bring them back up to order level, because if the previous encounter they got into was anything to go off of, even with Nagumo helping them, they are not ready if they're going up against Shishiba and the rest of the new order members, especially the new head of the order, who I am terrified to find out about. But let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's get right into it. So, like I mentioned previously, KINDAKA did return after being in a coma for 8 years, which, I mean, again, couldn't have picked a better time to come back, but it's interesting to see that he immediately remembers where he left off. He goes, oh my God, you know, like, we were on a mission, Uzuki was hurt, I tried to save him, what's going on? And after getting him up to speed a little bit and detailing him that Uzuki is now the major threat, he's the major villain of everything, the main problem going on. Honestly, it's not even really Uzuki. I would, at this point, think that the Takamura personality is probably the biggest threat. But staying on topic, just as Nagumo does, instead of going into any of the things that happen with Sakamoto, any of the things that are really important that probably could have stopped a lot of this chapter from happening, Nagumo is focused on priorities, which is getting himself paid back by KINDAKA for the 8 billion yen that he owes him for all of the hospital bills that Nagumo is now in debt for. And I love that, like, he just phrases it as, well, you know, I quit the order, times are tough. Like, no one told you to quit the order, you know what I mean? Like, you were completely thrown into that situation. Don't act like, oh, well, you know, then now's your time to pay up. I think it's actually insane. But honestly, what's more insane to me is the way that KINDAKA, after being in a coma for 8 years, supposedly has the most up-to-date smartphone and knows how to use it. To be fair, I think that's probably what's the most confusing thing to me. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I really think that this whole chapter could have been avoided pretty easily, I might add, if Nagumo would have just taken the time to explain to him that, yeah, Sakamoto retired and is fat now. Because apparently there's a hit out on Sakamoto for 1 billion yen, the same hit that's probably been out on him since the beginning of the series, that hook, line, and sinker, KINDAKA decides to take on completely because he thinks it's a Taro Sakamoto impersonator or something. It's a little unclear. Which, in no time at all, KINDAKA shows up to take his prey, which the fact that KINDAKA is still this fast after 8 years of rust is insane. He's literally busting down buildings as he's attacking these people. It's insane. KINDAKA hasn't missed a single beat. He's still a smoke demon. The way that he handles Sakamoto here, instantly, Sakamoto's like, I forgot how fast you were. The way that he just little bros both Shin and Heisuke, grabs him and goes, huh, you guys are pretty interesting. I also want to mention and just take a quick moment to discuss the fact that Shin basically has cursed speech now. Like, we have to have a full-on discussion about that. We cannot forget, because it's crazy to me. Obviously, it's not as strong, and it's more like mental telepathy cursed speech. But the fact that, like, Shin can project his thought of stop to someone and it will actually stop them, even though he misses, could definitely be a huge threat going forward. But it's really no surprises that KINDAKA would end up being the master that everyone needed. As soon as he woke up last chapter, I knew it was pretty cut and dry. This whole little, you know, scuffle between two characters that just can't be willing to talk it out, pure randomness. And I guess it's a great way to introduce KINDAKA as someone who hasn't really lost much grit over the 8 years of taking that long nappy. You know, I guess it really does introduce us back to this speed demon of a character. And it's, you know what, it's crazy that it takes Sakamoto going back into skinny mode to actually get KINDAKA to recognize him. I think that's like one of the most terrifying things, is that Sakamoto really does look that different, you know? You can't even recognize him at this point. Sakamoto had to humble him real quick, but it was pretty obvious. now that Kindaka and Sakamoto are back together and are able to understand the situation and back up to speed, without a doubt, they couldn't have picked a better person to train them to become better assassins. I mean, the former head of the order, they can't get any better than that to take on the current head of the order. Am I wrong? That's like the best possible counter they could have. Now, I hope that the leader of the order, I hope he has some kind of like crazy counter to speed. Like, instead of being super fast, he's like super slow, and because he's super slow, he rewinds time. I don't know. This isn't a supernatural manga at all, but I just want Kindaka and this new head of the order to have one of the craziest fights of all time. And you know what? I know Yuto Suzuki can give it to me. This man has given me some of the craziest moments I'll probably never forget in my entire life. So I'm excited to see where this all leads to, which in what I assume is probably the second to last, potentially the last arc. I feel like we're slowly getting towards the end. Slur Izuki can really only do so much more before he just takes over the entire world at this point. And especially now that Rion and Akao are both, you know, not down with the Takamura personality inside of Izuki, things are getting bad. Yeah, I mean, that's as far as it goes, guys. Thank you very much for tuning into this chapter review of Sakamoto Days. I really, really appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new, and check out the main channel if you want some more content. I'll see you guys next week for the next chapter. Oh, actually, we're on break. Oh, no, we're on break. That stinks. Well, I'll see you when I see you guys. Peace.